Wicked, 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 wicked week that was, and boy, oh boy, I thought I had it in the bag once again. It was a close one. It was definitely a close one. It was a close one for a lot of people, as a matter of fact. And now, as we can see, some people are back into the mix. They're back into the game. They could possibly make the playoffs, and some people could possibly get bumped into the consolation bracket. So right now we're looking at a tight race, and somebody who also made a prediction saying that they can go on ahead and still turn things around, turn the table. We're still waiting to see that. But let's get down to the bottom of things, because obviously it wasn't enough for me to come through and do what I thought that I was going to do once again. Team Quick Six, that was sitting at 7-1 versus the Prince Hall G-Men, who are now sitting at 5-3, 95-80. It was definitely close. It could have been closer, but even still, with me making the substitution that I should have made, I still would have lost by about 3 points or so. So it just wasn't enough for me to close the deal. But Team Quick Six, 95-80. Matt Forte was the highest scorer for him, 21 points with 82 yards and 2 tubs. And then my guy Derek Carr, who came out just throwing lights out, and I made a last-second switch with him. I was just debating if I wanted to put Derek Carr in the mix or if I wanted to put Kirk Cousins, and I put Derek Carr in there, and he gave me 35 good ones for 513 yards and 4 touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. And that game had all kind of roller coaster up and down emotions. He was actually up by like 20-30. I was supposed to be out of it, and then all of a sudden, like I said, Carr came in and did his thing, and then Darren Sproles came through and started rolling, and I actually had the lead at one point, only for that to fade, and the Philadelphia Eagles defense didn't hold up to their end of the bargain, so therefore ended up missing out on that. But it is what it is, and we move on. Then we've got Little John, who now sits pretty at 4-4, and he beat Team Headbusters 88-81. Tyrod Taylor was the main guy with 17 points, 183 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. In comparisons to Drew Brees, once again, the team might not be that great, but he's MVP mode right now with 20 points, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 turnovers and a tub. Now, with this being said, Steve, you should still feel kind of motivated, because there's a guy in particular who said that he could still come back and run the table, and he has the same record as you right now. We'll get to that guy in a minute, but that's what I heard so far. That's just the word on the street. So as we roll down into the mix with 6-2 Team Knight, who now holds a commanding 1-game lead. She won over Keeping It 100 Tyreek, who now sits at 3-5, 111-101. Tommy Boy Brady, who's on fire, who might be an MVP in his own right. 29 points, 315 yards with 4 tubs. And compared to Keeping It 100, Aaron Rodgers with 33 points, 246 yards, and 4 TDs. Toya once again has that commanding 1-game lead on me right now, and I am trying to scratch and claw, hoping that somebody else can yank her down, because I need to stay into the mix. I want to be into the playoffs, because then once we get into the playoffs, it's 0-0. It's anybody's ball game, and all we want to do is just go 1-0 each week, like Russell Wilson said. So hopefully that can be done. Then we swing over here to Greg Williams. Now, here's what Greg Williams had to say as far as what he wanted to do. Check it out.
You guys trying to figure out where I've been. Mm-hmm. I haven't let my son manage the team, so.
Oh, that's the reason.
So that's why the team has fell off. Gotta watch out. Gotta watch out.
He's coming for you, Quick Six.
First victim. First victim.
Okay, so you heard what Greg said, and obviously he, really feels confident based upon where he's at right now. He still thinks that he can come back and run the table. Now, granted, the fact his excuse was, as you can see, he let his son who I don't know why he let his son make the decisions. His son couldn't do anything in the last league. He got his butt beat. Now you're going to sit over here and allow your son to come over here and make decisions for you. That's why you sit where you're at. Now you got to play catch up. And you think you're going to try to catch me in my squad? Me? No, you're not catching me. And you ain't bumping me out. But anyway, Team Williams, who sits at 2-6, gave a smashing to Team Shelly, 105-67. Once again, not knowing where Michelle is at. Last I was told, she checked into Houston, so I think she pretty much gave it up. So, other than that, 29 points for Blake Bortles, who had 337 yards and 3 tubs, versus Team Shelly, who had Jeremy Hill, 13 points, 76 yards, and a touchdown, which just wasn't enough, obviously, to get it done. Then we swing over to the Black Cheetahs, who was in the mix, kind of, with Team Rowe, who all of a sudden has resurrected himself, and he's just one game out of being possibly into the playoffs. They're both sitting at 4-4, but Team Rowe, another streaking win, 97-76. Jonathan Stewart with 21 points, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and a fumble for him over Jameis Winston for the Black Cheetahs, who had 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, who also had 18 points. And then we swing over to David Hayes, who obviously bounced back from his performance. He took care of that ticket and took care of the victory, sitting at 5-3. 84-52 over Mimi in Tacoma. Andy Dalton with 19 points, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 turnovers, a touchdown, and an interception. He had a lot. And then versus Matt Ryan, who had 23 points, 288 yards with 3 tubs. So there you see, at that point, David Hayes is still in the mix. This is what the standings looks like so far. As you can see, with the standings sitting pretty as they are, you got Team Knight sitting at 6-2. Then myself at 5-3, followed with Team Rowe and Team Littlejohn at 4-4. And then you see the rest finishing out at the bottom with the 3-5. But then we swing over here into the other division, which still makes it kind of interesting. You've got Quick Six at 7-1. Then you have David Hayes at 5-3. But then you also come back and you have the Black Cheetahs sitting at 4-4. So you got a pretty good look at what's going on. Outside of that, we have pretty much a nice standing, and I tell you what, it's been awesome for what has taken place, and I'm looking forward to these guys to come out here and doing some really positive things as we get ready to head into the playoffs. Now, we still got some work to do, but with that being said, I'm pretty confident with who I have next week. Here's the schedule that you guys will pretty much see going into next week and what you guys have. Hopefully you guys will make the right substitutions, you'll make the right lineup suggestions, and we'll have a greater week. But until then, today is Thursday. If you guys got anybody playing on Thursday, please be careful on who you pick. You don't want it to jinx you going into Sunday's games. So until then, I'll holla, and I'll holla at you next week.